Yes, sir. We are back. We are back. Welcome back. Like I said, it's the middle of February. I don't know what the weather looks like where you're at. Very 65-ish here. I know Pat said he's getting a snowstorm, but either way, man, listen, enough about the weather. We're gonna talk some sports. There isn't a lot of sports going on, but what we talk about tonight is going to be better than All-Star weekend was last weekend. So make sure you have your popcorn ready, make sure you have all your stuff ready because we are live. Welcome back to Sick Podcast Anvil Show. Sammy, bring us in.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Anvil Show.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, sir. And before we get started, a word from our sponsors at DraftKings. Make sure that you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Make sure that when you do, you're going to use code SICKSPORTS. That's SICKSPORTS, all caps, no spaces. That's code SICKSPORTS to get over, well, actually, it's over $300 in bonus bets, I believe, still, when you place a bet of over $5. So all it takes is $5 to get you an additional $300. So make sure that you go on to DraftKings Sportsbook, use that code SICKSPORTS. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Yes, sir. And with that, we have the sound of the anvil. Yes. And welcome back to the Sick Podcast Anvil Show, where we're bringing you everything Colts. Like I said, it's the off season, but you know, we still got some stuff to talk about. So we're going to go over all that. Before we get too far into it, I am your co-host, CJ. I also have with me
Big P.
All right. And by the way, hey, make sure that you are liking, commenting, sharing this wherever you're watching from, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever it may be. Hey, make sure that you are sharing this. Hey, shout out to Kevin. Shout out to Meanie, Big Blue Meanie. If you're ever in Touchdown Town, you will see Meanie. He is out there. His name might be Blue Meanie, but you know what? He's got a heart of gold, and we appreciate him for that. But don't come too crazy, otherwise he will be a meanie. So either way, you know. But hey, shout out to Chris.
You don't want to get in a verbal confrontation with this guy.
You don't. But you know what?
Will make you feel about that small.
Exactly. But you know what? When he's around him, he has a heart that's 10 times that.
Absolutely.
So you know what? We know him. We love him. So shout out to Teresa. Shout out to Ricky. Hey, listen, we're already getting started. Say what's up, Chris and Pat. We are getting hammered with rain. Yeah, I heard you guys are getting hammered with bad weather. Hopefully you guys are good. Hopefully everybody stays safe out there. I heard it's a major storm. So yeah, prayers up to everybody in the state of Indianapolis, wherever it's going to be hitting. So
the state of Indianapolis.
State of Indiana. I'm sorry. I know that you're an Indianimal, Pat. So I didn't want to say it too much. Okay. So my bad.
I'm typically not a grammar Nazi. But the
you don't have the right to
that wouldn't even caught me off sideways.
But you know what, Indianapolis, I would say it's just like could be a state.
It could be a third world country. It's jacked up around here anymore, dude. I'm telling you right now. But hey, anyways, you guys know I'm in the heart of Indianapolis, so if we have technical difficulties, it's because we've lost power, we've lost internet, we lost anything. So everybody just ride the wave like we're going to ride it tonight. If we make it through the show, great. If we don't, we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week from the combine.
From the combine. And speaking of combine, I'm glad that you go ahead and you say that because we know the combine's coming up, right?
Yes,
and so we know that there's a combine. We know that we have needs, but I wanted to just kind of poke and prod, right? Because we we have a draft that we're going to have to, that we're going to have to prepare for come April. Now, right now, it's looking like we may have 35 million in cap to kind of play with when it comes to how we're going to make sure that we re-sign players. But for all intents and purposes, we know that Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones are pretty much the priority for this. I'm going to say for this free agency cycle. So as of right now, right, I'm going to say just off the top of your head, where are you when it comes to just like how you go ahead and just kind of fix this team, kind of starting with the draft? Like, how do you go and just kind of right the ship right now?
Chris, I'm not a GM, so and I don't play one on TV, so I'm not real good at it. And a lot of my draft picks that I like or that I want end up being a bust. Well, let's put it this way. Peyton Manning's draft, I wanted Ryan Leaf.
Oh.
If that tells you anything. Yeah, I thought Manning was a bust. I thought he was happy feet. I thought he complained too much. Thought he was a little sissy. I thought Ryan Leaf was more of that traditional hard-nosed football player. Ends up being exactly opposite. So I'm not real good at this draft stuff.
Yeah.
So, but what we talked about last week with Trey Hendrickson, I always want to say Henderson, but it's Hendrickson.
Well, Henderson is more common, so I see.
Okay, that works too for you smart, literate people that know how to speak. But for us hillbillies, that's how we're going to say it tonight. Anyways, so to me, that's step one in fixing our needs. It is get that solid, guaranteed edge pressure. Now, Latu's been doing great. Got no complaints for him. I want to see a whole lot more out of JTT. I think he can be something really, really special. But step one, I have to start in free agency before starting the draft.
Yeah.
And what was it, March 15th? They open up free agency?
March 11th, free agency starts.
Okay, that's pretty close. So start there, see if you can land him. That's step one for me. Step two would come after, was I successful in free agency before the draft? Because if I was, that changes my entire draft. If I wasn't, then that changes my draft as well.
Yeah.
So, hold on, I got a visitor here. But that, to me, that's step one. Hit your biggest needs in free agency, because there's some players. There's some players that's going to hit free agency that's right in time with our needs, our biggest needs, if you will, like edge.
Yeah.
Ward has never come out and said anything about actually retiring or not. So I think we're okay. I think if Ward was going to retire, he would have announced it by now. Oh, that's hell. I can hear hell hitting the house now. So I think our secondary is actually solid going into this draft.
Mm.
You got Ward, you got Gardner, you got Kenny, you got Justin Wally. I think our DBs are good. I haven't heard any information on what they're doing with Nick Cross, if they're in negotiations, how's it going. I haven't heard nothing, so that kind of scares me. But you still got Bynum back there. He's still under contract for another year. So yeah, hit Trey in free agency, and then in the draft, see what you can do with linebacker. Get me that hybrid linebacker that can crush the O-line and still cover.
Okay.
So to me, that's kind of the steps. Offensively, we're pretty solid. I do want some more solid quality backup in the O-line, but that can be picked up in the 5th, 6th rounds.
Yeah, that can be picked up later.
Take 2, 3, and 4, to solidify that defense.
Okay. And I think so. And I think to your point, because I agree to an extent, and then I also disagree. I think for me, if I'm looking at like how this team is currently made up, like I think you still possibly take a chance depending on who's out there at corner. I don't think that is something where it needs to be used with our first pick. I think maybe you just go ahead and you see, because the thing is he hasn't retired as of yet, but there's still time for him to.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just like you can still make that designation prior. I think like with the team, they might just be just checking in, because it's not like, he just said, "Oh, I might just be retiring," and then that's just it. It's I might be retiring because I had 3 concussions this year, and right now I can't get a headache without it potentially turning into a migraine. And so that's why I think for me, it's like you can trust him to go ahead and say, "Hey, I think I'm just going to go ahead and hang it up." But I think also, even if he says, "Yeah, I could play some more," I think you still need to have an insurance policy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there at all. Because that position group seems to always get hit with the injury bug.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And I don't know why. So yeah, having quality backup there too, it's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's just like, especially now, I think I want there to be a kind of change in philosophy and how they go about things. I know, like, they go after these guys who are just like, they have those scores, they're athletic, they're all these things. I get all that, but the thing is, it's just like, at this point, I think the only reason why I say there needs to be a pivot in the philosophy is because I just feel like at this point you have to do something a little bit different, because things that we want to have worked aren't necessarily working the way they're supposed to. And I think last offseason we saw a little bit of that pivot, and I think that helped to be a little bit more successful. But of course, the injury bug gets you, it gets you.
Yep.
So at this point, I think you have to be at a point where, if you have guys out there, and we were on the call with Daniel Jeremiah today. Shout out to Daniel Jeremiah. He said
how'd that go?
That was
Chris,
cool.
Chris moving up in the world, getting invites from the NFL.
Hey, listen. I'm just out here executing God's plan with the help of the people that He put around me. So
that's what we
do. But
as it is in heaven.
There you go. See, we all understand that. We know it. We know it.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes down to from what he said, this is going to be a very, very deep draft when it comes down to these 3 positions, and he named these in order. He said wide receiver, defensive tackle, and edge.
That's what Daniel said, huh?
Yes, that's what he said today.
Wow.
So, I mean, honestly, it's just like, being that you have to kind of shore up these spots, right? Because that Buckner is going to be due for contract next year, and he's going to be like 31, 32. So then at that point, do you re-sign? Who knows? But then you have Grove, who you're potentially going to be looking to replace, because he's also somebody who, at this point, he's a run stuffer. But are we going to be doing a multi-year contract for a 31-year-old run stuffer? That's going to be a little bit harder to justify as well. But then also, our edge depth is not there right now.
No. And we brought this up last week. I think the only ones we got is Latu and JTT under contract, right?
Yep.
Everybody else is pending.
Yeah, and we have 22 free agents right now. So I mean,
So a lot of that is a lot of them aren't going to get re-signed. So now your cap goes from 35 million to 45 and
yeah,
upwards. You know, so
correct.
I seen a comment on here from Mike saying send Pitt away and AR, which Stephen Holder reported this week that it's pretty definite that AR is going to request a trade. So that's going to save money.
So no, that was fake.
That was fake.
So yes, so the thing is that was so remember earlier in the season when the whole like the Daniel Jones AR competition thing broke,
Mm-hmm.
and then Daniel Jones had won. They said that Daniel Jones won the competition, and early on in the season, that's when they tried to break the rumors like, oh yeah, AR is requesting a trade, and you know this, that, and the other. And then they came out and said, no, he's not requesting a trade, but they said that there was like word from his manager. It's just like there was a little bit of frustration, but no, he didn't request a trade. So that right there is like it was just somebody tagging Stephen Holder, because if you even go to Stephen Holder's Twitter page, you look at anything that he said, that whole thing that happened, that was back in like August, September. So there, and the thing is, even then he wasn't requesting a trade. So the Vikings want AR. But no, but like in all seriousness, I do believe that there's ways that you can go ahead and get more money, not just to sign free agents, but make sure that you sign the guys that count.
Shut my door.
Like for example, we talked about the whole the Michael Pittman thing. So when we're talking about Michael Pittman, if you trade or release him, it's going to save you 29 mil. There's going to be a $5 million dead cap hit, and it's going to be 24 million that you get back, whether he's traded or released. So that gives you 24 million. Trading or releasing Grover Stewart is going to get you 9 million. Trading or releasing Zaire potentially gets you 5.8 million. There's ways to be able to make sure that everybody is re-signed and that you go ahead and you get these players in. But the thing is, it's just like we just have to really come to terms with the fact that there's going to be some players that are familiar names that we like, that we like for sound bites and for clips and things like that, that might not be here next season.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of changes for sure. So people just look at what the cap is now. You gotta wait until everything gets shuffled out. I think we're gonna have plenty of cap room to take care of Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. I said it last week, Chris. I'm not a big fan of getting rid of talent, and I think Michael Pittman is talented. He's an absolute dog. He's not done anything to make me wish him to go away, if you know what I mean. So, and I said I think the best play for that one is both sides sit down at the table, restructure the contract, create some more cap space, and keep your talent.
Okay, and so, I mean, and yeah,
and look, I don't know what Michael Pittman's done for half this fan base to say get rid of him, because he's done nothing but produce. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has drops, absolutely. But he's clutching every moment that he needs to be clutching. I mean, he comes down with the ball with his helmet getting ripped off. He don't let that ball go. That is dog mentality. You can't coach that. You can't teach it. It's just in your DNA. And that guy has it. So I don't want to get rid of him. If you look how we can spread the field right now, you got Josh and Warren running slots. You can get Pittman in the middle of that field, and now you got Alec Pierce on the deep side of that field. You've hit all three sections of that field with the receiving core that you have.
Yeah.
So.
But I think the other thing is that you're not just looking at it from a right now perspective. You're looking at it from also maybe a long-term perspective also, because you also have to remember that once let's just say if you restructure Michael Pittman and we sign Alec Pierce, Josh Downs is next year. And so the problem is that then you're going to look at potentially having 3 wide receivers paid, I'm going to say under contract in that group. And on top of that, depending on what type of deal Daniel Jones gets, you'll have a lot of money tied up in just the offense alone. Mind you, also, JT is due up next year.
Yeah.
And also Quentin Nelson's due up next year. So, also it's just like from a longevity standpoint, you're looking at how you're going to be able to make sure that everybody is going to continuously be able to get paid, because everybody that I just mentioned is only on offense. We're not even talking about the defensive side.
No.
So I think there's a fear there. And then also, if I have a feeling that we wouldn't necessarily be so worried about potentially shipping people off if the first round pick is still there. Now, I'm going to say it, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I had no problem with the trade for us to get Sauce Gardner, except for giving up A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell was the only part of that trade that I hated, because I felt like getting rid of him meant that now you're down a wide receiver and you're going to have to replace him. Because for whatever obsession people have with Ashton Dulin isn't it a wide receiver. So, like I said, at this point, you have to be able to just kind of say, all right, where are we going? What are we doing when it comes to this team? What's going to happen? But the thing is, to trade away a wide receiver, a very promising wide receiver in the second year, is like, it's a tough sell, because now it's just like, if you lose Alec Pierce this offseason, that wide receiver room is decimated.
Yeah.
So, we can look at it for what it is. We can call it what it is, but at the end of the day, you're going to need more players. And I think that's why we're going back to this draft, going back to what this is looking like. Wide receiver, D tackle, and the edge is what Daniel Jeremiah said. And those just happen to be 3 positions that we need, that you kind of have to address all 3 of them at some point or another. Now, he did say that in terms of depth, wide receiver is a very, very deep class. He also said that the edge class is a very deep class, where some guys may potentially fall only due to age alone, but it's not going to be as much of an issue as it was like in years past. Like right now, it's just like people are looking at, I think they said Akeem Mesidor, who's coming out of Miami, he probably would be like maybe top 5 in the draft, if not for the fact that he's like 24, going to be 25 this year.
Yeah, they say that kid out of Indiana has the potential falling to us. I forget his name. Starts with an S.
Surratt?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is, and he reminds me a ton of Pittman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their quarterback, Fernando, he reminds me of Luck. Just, his demeanor, his command of the field. So, yeah, there's definitely some talent coming out. Which way does Ballard go with it? I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, now you have a very unique situation, because at this point, I think it's almost guaranteed that at some point or another, you're going to have to trade down. Like, you're going to have to trade down in the draft. What's going on, Clayton? What's going on, Stacy? But you're going to have to trade down the draft. And that's only because of the fact that you're going to have to secure more picks. Now, I'm not saying that you need to completely trade out of rounds. I think there was one way too early mock draft that I did where I traded down twice. I traded from 47 to 48, and I traded from 48 to 52. And that was able to get an additional 3 picks that were somewhat later, but then also one of them was a future third. So I think you can justify saying, hey, we can go and look into, getting a certain looking to get more picks so that way you can take advantage of the fact that this is a deeper trench class on defensive side and deeper wide receiver class. But it's really going to depend on how you attack free agency, because in the off chance we're not able to re-sign Alec Pierce, then you almost have to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But right now, like I said, I think
And a lot of times, Chris, the draft is drafting replacement players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if they do go with a receiver they like, it's probably going to be some sort of replacement player.
Yeah. But I think also you want this team to get whoever is going to be able to kind of fit from I'm going to say from the offense and defensive standpoint, right? So I think this year maybe they'll go with, unless you have some guys like a Zion Young out there who's there when you pick. I mean, you can potentially see how there would be how they would need to go after edge. But I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to see early on, we're probably going to see a lot of JTT, because they want us to, I think now they're going to trust him a little bit more. I don't think that we're going to re-sign Kwity Paye, because I just don't think that he's going to be, worth what we're potentially looking to give him. I honestly think that he didn't play up to even the 5th-year option. But I mean, like
I agree with that. Absolutely agree with it. I got his jersey on the wall. I had a lot of high expectations for him.
Yeah,
I really, really did.
Yeah, and that in and of itself is that's why I think you have to justify the taking JTT and justify it. Now the thing is, you do have some continuity with Lou's defense, so we're going to see exactly what they're able to do. I think maybe he's going to trust him a little bit more now that he's a second-year player, because from what I understood from some Bengals fans was that he doesn't necessarily lean on rookies too much. Or I'm talking about Lou. He doesn't lean on rookies too much. So therefore now that you're going to be a second-year player, now I think there's a little bit more veteran experience now. So now it's just like they're going to see what they can do, and he's going to put him in those spots where it's like, okay, here's what I need you to do, and then see what they can do between him and Latu, see if they can just really turn into a great tandem. So
yeah, that book ends.
Oh yeah, yeah, because if they could do that, then I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be good to go for a very, very long time.
Yeah, Teresa, he only came back on a 1-year deal, and I don't think they don't re-sign him either. But shoot, for the last 2 or 3 camps, I've been saying that he doesn't make it out of camp, but he survived. So stranger things has happened.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be another one of those situations where you have to, and I'm going to say this just for Colts fans in general, right? And this isn't to crap on anybody, whatever, but I think there's just some people that we're just going to have to depart with that we like by name, but that just aren't performing. And I think like Mo Alley Cox, like this is one of those things that I was in discussion with the other day. They're just like, oh, he's a really good blocker. That's fantastic if you're an O lineman. But the problem is that Mo Alley Cox hasn't shown enough consistency at the tight end position, like the actual receiving part of things, to justify continuously paying him. And not only that, but the thing is, he's 32.
Yeah, 32 and very inconsistent with his catches.
Yeah. And so, like I said, it's just like I like Mo Alley Cox. He's a great dude. He's cool. Like he's always answers questions. Like we're always able to just go ahead and speak to him and do all that. But the reality of it is that I don't think you could justify keeping him around again. Like we can't do that. Oh, by the way, yeah, Clyde isn't here tonight because he's getting an Indianapolis tattoo on his back. and it's gonna just say like Indianapolis across the top of the back, and then he's gonna have a Colts horse, or he's gonna have an actual the throwback Colts logo, but then it's gonna say Indianapolis underneath that too. So he's getting that done now.
I
So
thought he was getting a giant portrait of Bluey tattooed on his back.
that's probably part of it too. I think he was gonna be like Bluey with a horseshoe on his stomach.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was gonna say Ohio State, but that would throw everybody off. Um, but no, like Ogletree, I like. So for me, I think you do keep Ogletree, and I think the reason why you keep Ogletree is that he's younger, but also he's somebody that has been able to come into games if he's had the opportunity, and he can produce. He can absolutely do those things. But once again, I think you're eliminating somebody who you are hoping is going to do something at this age. And I mean by Mo, you're eliminating Mo Ali Cox so that you'll be able to give the younger tight ends, you give them more time and you give them more play time. Because I mean, if we're being real, there's a lot of guys who get burned who really shouldn't get burned. I mean, for God's sake, we put Ashton Doolin at edge last season in a game. Like, what's going on?
See, you could be upset with that all you want, but I thought it was brilliant. I mean, Ashton's fast, and he got in there. Now he didn't get the sack, no, but he got the pressure. I liked it. I like the fact that Lou's not afraid to experiment. And it can be the craziest experiments that you want. I don't care. Just like that time they put Quentin Nelson in as fullback and let him run the ball in. That's typically, you don't do stuff like that. But I love that stuff. I absolutely do. For me, it just brings a different excitement to the game, and I like it.
Yeah.
You know, now if they kept it in that position, then I'd be like right there with you, like, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you know, for trick plays and things like that, I have no quarrel with it whatsoever, even if it doesn't work.
I like I said, it's cute. It's cute when we were at the stage we were at where we were at the beginning of the season. But I think especially when it got to like that rougher point, it's like, you know, like the gimmicky stuff, it didn't hit the same because we weren't even able to do the regular stuff correctly. So why are we doing the gimmicky stuff? Like, no, we something's gotta work. And nothing was working at that point. So I mean, like that didn't, you know, to me it was just like that's good when everything's going well, but when it's not going well, it's just like you act like you look like an absolute lummox when it's not working.
Fair.
But also, I think if I'm looking, especially at this team, right, because like I said, it's just like there's moves that you can make to do it. Now, the thing about the Pittman, I'm gonna say the discourse when it comes to Pittman, I think the discourse when it comes to Pittman is that, like, yes, we want him to be able to do it, but I think ultimately, like I said, it's just like if they restructure and you can get that same 24 million back potentially, then absolutely, like that sounds great. But the problem is that once again, it's just like if you do absolutely nothing and let him go into this next year, he's going to be making 29 million. And you have to at some point or another say, okay, we have to structure this in a way where this is going to work for us, because even right now, you know, we're going to have probably around 70 million more in cap next season than we do right now at this moment. But by then, you'll already have made decisions. Some of the older guys are going to age out more than likely. But then you're going to have to go ahead and make those decisions. For right now, being that we're saying, hey, you need to sign Pierce, you need to do these things. Let's go and just get them locked up. So that's why you got to go and make those moves. And then Braden Smith is gone. Ashton Doolin, Um, I believe he's a free agent. I think if he's not, then cool. Just keep him around because it's just like he's a low cost guy anyway.
Mhm.
Um, and then so here's the thing: I don't think that Zaire Franklin is slowing down because of age. I think this is who he was kind of all along. It's just this defense maybe showed some of the flaws that he had.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not saying he's slowing down, but he's having difficulty under Lou.
Yeah,
Because Lou really spreads these guys out with different duties. And when he's asking Zaire to cover, he just doesn't process fast enough to get to where he's supposed to be. But that's never been his game. I don't hold that against him, but we need that cover linebacker. You got to have it. And if Z can't get himself up to speed, we got to get somebody that's already there. Oh shit! Excuse me. Clyde would have Omaha'd me for that one. That was a big one.
yeah, that was crazy.
Thanks, Clyde.
but you know what? I think also if we're talking about, I'm gonna say like even now, right? Because and I want to go back to that, but with Zaire, I think Zaire he thrived in Gus Bradley's system because Gus Bradley's system was read and react, just kind of just fly to wherever the action is after you've been, where you are, right? And so the thing is, I think you saw that he played well in that system, but the thing is now, like in Lou's system, it requires him to have to trail tight ends. It requires him to have to move around, play more zone, play more man, and we saw that. When you have to go out there and have him make a play and he's by himself, there's a chance he's gonna whiff. And it's not to say that he's a bad player or that he can't play. It's just that this defense showed that his skill set just isn't.
It's not a good match.
It's not a good match for. Like I said, it's just like I feel like he can go somewhere and be an asset in a system like Gus Bradley's, where it's kind of read and react only. Whereas it's just like now with Lou's system, we saw Jermaine Pratt out there, covering more and doing those things. And it's just like, and I think that's the type of production that you want to get out of a coverage linebacker, or even so, like you want to get like somebody who's younger who's going to be able to do it. I know they planned on having Hunter Waller kind of play linebacker, but he ended up being hurt before the season began, so we weren't able to do that. So, and in terms of now moving on to Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones, I think the best thing that they can do right now is that see if you could sign Jones to a deal, tag Alec Pierce, and even if you go ahead and you sign Daniel Jones, you can structure it so that you have a deal that allows you to be able to still sign Alec Pierce, but make sure that those guys get locked up. Because I like Nick Cross and I would love to have him back, but he might be a little bit out of our price range. I think also, Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce at this point, you have to have that money available. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And I mean, honestly, if you lose one of, if not both of them, this team might be pretty bad to watch next season. But like I said, I think Riley Leonard could hold it down for a few games, but I just don't believe that he's going to be able to like really just carry that load, because we've seen it time and time again with some of these quarterbacks. It's just like teams, if they don't have a lot of tape on you, it's going to be very hard for them to defend you. But then once they get that 3 to 4 games of tape, or 3 to 4 games of tape where they can study, see exactly what you do, it's going to be a lot different. And then it's just like that inexperience is going to show.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I was going to say was that we're going back to the combine. Now we're going to, I think now it's just like we're going to be looking at who we're going to potentially be going after, or I'm going to say who we're going to potentially be looking to. I'm going to say invest in, because I mean the draft is going to have to be done. I'm going to say maybe almost flawlessly because of how free agency is going to be, and because of the fact that there's not a whole lot of cap space that can be done right this moment.
Sorry,
What do you read?
my head's spinning with the draft, and I'm trying to get my thoughts together. That and the storm just keeps pounding me with hell right now.
Oh. Pause. Pause that one. That one's crazy.
The frozen ice that comes out of the sky, that kind.
No. I'm not talking about the hail. I'm talking about
pounding.
The fact that you're saying that it's pounding you.
Well, it's pounding my house. So yeah, that you got me thrown off.
But I like I said, I think
you asked me what my first step would be for this draft. Now, let me turn that back and ask you, what's going to be your first step?
Edge.
No questions, no free agency. That's what I'm focusing on in the draft.
Yeah, because ultimately, I mean, I know that we've been talking about, like they said, like Bradley Chubb, right? And Bradley Chubb, I don't trust him too much because I mean, I think he's missed more time in seasons than he's actually played.
I think you're correct.
So, I mean, I wouldn't trust Bradley Chubb. I think Trey Hendrickson is going to be way out of our price range unless you go and you make a lot of those moves that you're supposed to make. And then the only other one is I think like Jalen Phillips, which I think would be a good signing. But once again, it's just like because just right now, if we're looking at just the money right this moment, you're going to have to pivot to get more money. And that's going to be very, very tough to do because how are you going to go and free up that much money to go ahead and sign a pass rusher, but then also be able to go ahead and come back around and say, hey, this is what we want to do? Because on top of making extra space, you also have to have to be a destination that people want to go to.
Yes.
So I think that's the other part of why I'm on the standpoint of this draft has to be a draft that's going to be a flawless draft, because you're going to have to draft almost majority defense and then still get those wide receivers that you need to have for that. I'm going to say, or still be able to get a wide receiver, because I think you're still going to have to invest in a wide receiver in that room. I think there's guys that you'll be able to get, like if you want to get an additional running back, you'll be able to potentially get a guy maybe undrafted, or just go and, sign somebody like a little bit later in free agency that'll be able to be a good complementary back, because you're not looking for somebody to just come in and be a difference maker. You're looking for somebody to just come in and be a change of pace back from JT. This way you can go ahead and just have a little bit more of a committee rather than just saying we're just going to rely on just JT's legs and that's it. So I think that's going to be the part that's going to be a little bit, I'm going to say a little bit different for us. But like I said, if there's ever a off season that really, really matters, I think it's this one, because at this point you're going to have to set yourself up. I mean, you have this team has to be competitive next season.
This team's got to make a run next season. Absolutely. It's got to make a run, or them girls, they're going to blow this whole thing up and start from the ground up.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're being honest, if they do, I don't think there's going to be an issue with it if they just decide that they're going to blow it up, because, I mean, what have you seen from this team right now? If this team ends up being a 6-11 or 5-10 team, that makes you believe that everything is going to work out the way that it's supposed to, and that's just it. Like, it's not. It's just going to be, I mean, whatever it's supposed to be, it's just going to be a team where it's just like it's going to be guys getting individual stats, and then guys are just going to be looking to get re-signed next season, and then it's not going to be a competitive product. Like this team is going to have to be competitive next season, and not only that, you almost have to want to make sure that you're going as far as possible because you don't even have your first round pick for next season.
Thanks. But hey, let's do some fun stuff.
All right, what are we talking about?
All right. Well, you remember this season we had a special guest come out to the tailgate.
Yes.
And Marlon Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And us being us, we combined his visit to a fundraiser for his nonprofit.
Yes.
And we have a special video for everybody. Sammy, you can play that video for me.
Hello, family. What's going on? It's Marlon Jackson here. I'm here with Patrick. We're having lunch today, but just wanted to come to you guys and say thank you for continuing to support the Fight for Life Foundation. We appreciate it how you showed up at the tailgate. All the fans coming out, making contributions, getting autographs. Continue to stay in this fight with us for underserved youth. We're going to continue to do our work, providing supports to educators to manage student well-being and culture and climate. And we want you to be a part of that. So there'll be other opportunities to connect down the road. We look forward to continuing to collaborate and partner with the Anvil family and just let you know that we appreciate all the support that you're able to provide.
There you go. Anvil family, baby.
Yes, sir. That's major. Like it's and like I said, Marlon Jackson just is so dope. Like he's like I said, just from when he agreed to do the interview and he was just like, listen, like we'll just come out and do it, and then he did it to begin with. I mean,
he's
like
got to be the only professional athlete that's been interviewed inside of an RV. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I'm going to hold my hat to that one.
Yeah, he like I said, I don't have anything to verify, so I'm just going to go with it and say, yep, sure, he is. Like
yeah, that was an absolute blast of a tailgate, so definitely want to thank the Anvil Tailgate Forged crew for all the hard work that they do game in and game out. I mean, it's no small feat to tailgate the way we tailgate.
Yeah.
There is a lot of work involved, and it doesn't stop because the game's over. It actually picks up from Sunday to Sunday. It's a lot of work, so I definitely appreciate everybody that's put a hand in this and made it successful. I didn't make it successful. Chris didn't make it successful. Everybody did, Marla wouldn't tell me a number of what we actually raised, but I asked him, I said, did we do okay? He goes, you guys did better than okay. So evidently he was really happy with how much money we was able to raise for his nonprofit. And he helps kids. He helps kids in school. I'm sorry, you just don't get better than that.
No, you don't.
When you're helping kids, you just don't.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and everybody that, watches this week in, week out, that went to his website or came to the tailgate, thank you guys. Thank you guys very, very, very much.
Yep. And I'm just glad that, like I said, it's just like not only that he's part of the Anvil family, but the fact that it's like he's paying it forward. It's just like a lot of these athletes, it's just like we don't hear about it enough. We know that they have like certain things that they do with kids, but it's just like to continue to do that post-career and be as embedded in the community as he is, I think that's nothing short of just really, really, really just being like stand up, really, that being like the Colts way. I know I dunk on it a lot. I say, we get a lot of Boy Scouts and everything like that, but this is always a great thing to see when you have somebody who just stays in the community even after they retire and they just continue to give back to that community, even though it may not be his actual community. He's just like, no, this is the city that accepted me, the city that I gave my all to, and that's what it is. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a real fun lunch today, being able to go up and sit down with him and just Casual conversations, a couple guys talking football. It
Oh
was
yeah.
great afternoon. It wasn't no NFL invite to a stream, but it was pretty cool.
No, but even if it's not, it's just like still, it's just like that's a great opportunity. So
Yeah, absolutely.
but that's awesome. So I'm definitely glad we got to do that. However, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that um, you made him say shout out to the podcast, and he said with Patrick leading the way, because I'm just like we're just gonna say, if that's the case, the only thing I thought of when he said
I
leading
didn't
the way
tell
is
him to
hot.
say anything.
You told him to say that. You
I
gave
did
him
not tell him to say that.
you wrote
I'm not a
on the
vain
paper.
person.
You wrote on the paper Patrick, and the P was backwards.
Now we know it's a lie because I don't know how to write. So
Yeah, we
now
know
I know
that
you're lying.
we know that you're still learning words. So we understand that portion of things. So yes, but no, when he said Patrick leading the way, I was just like, we're just gonna have to start calling Patrick Hot Wheels, since
Hot
apparently
Wheels.
you're leading the way. So yeah, we're
I got
just
a
gonna
new
have to.
X name.
Yes,
new
yes,
X
we're
handle.
gonna just call
Colts
yourself
Hot
Colts Hot Wheels. Just change. Listen, at this point, we're gonna change. I think we should just be changing your name like every 60 days. I think that'll be perfect. That'll be perfect. So yes. Oh no, Teresa said that you're getting flooded there in Indy. Yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna. You know what? Only because of the fact that it's we've been able to be this lucky that you've been able to stay on the whole time. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just make sure that we're going to get out of here so you guys can kind of hunker down and make sure that everything is everything.
Yeah,
So with
mine
that
was
being,
not push the weather. We got through this with no interruptions. I don't want to push it.
exactly. So with that being said, or actually, matter of fact, we already have the information up, so you can actually find me on Twitter at CJ Colts fan, where we do the spaces, we do the morning spaces. I've been a little bit busier in the morning, dealing with some immediate things before we are at the combine next week, because we will be there, just covering throughout the week. I know we are definitely going to be giving y'all some content from there. So make sure that you are following us. Make sure that you're following me at CJ Colts fan. Pat, tell the people where they can find you.
Well, if you go to Twitter to find anybody, you ain't gonna find nobody because there's no such thing as Twitter.
Yes, there is.
That company died $44 million ago. But you can find me on X at Colts Forged.
Yes, you can. It's not even Colts Forged. It's Colts Forge.
That's what I said. I didn't say forged. I said
You
Colts
said forged.
Colts Forge.
Yeah, but the thing is, you also said they could find you on X. So I mean,
yes, because that's the app that everybody uses.
That's also
They don't use, the Twitter app is gone.
No, it's not.
It left $44 million ago.
If you type in Twitter, it will take you to it. Still.
But it's not called Twitter.
But it'll still take you there.
I can type in social media apps and it'll take me there too.
It won't take you directly to it.
Yes, it will. It'll
If you
give me a
type in-
link. It'll give me a link to it.
No, but if you type in twitter.com directly, it takes you to it, directly to it.
What I'm saying is quit being a hater.
I'm not being a hater.
If I spend $44 million and I rename something, I'd expect you to call that name because I earned that name with that $44 million. My take.
I mean, that's.
I know your mama didn't call it X, and I get that. But change is good.
Not in this case.
Change is good.
Not in this case.
Change is good.
It is not. Not only that, but we'll talk about that off stream. But also, you can find the podcast page
face to face.
You could, listen. We will. Listen, just bam, just elbows across. But hey, also please bring up the podcast page, and you can find us on whatever you decide to call that app. that Rocket Man is responsible for at SigPod Colts. That's where you see the clips of all the episodes, and then we should actually have the clips of interviews that we're going to do. We're probably going to see about locking down some interviews with a lot of these NFL prospects. Also, maybe see if we could talk to some insiders. So we're definitely going to have a lot of content streaming. So make sure that you're following us at SigPod Colts. Also, make sure that you're following us on Facebook and YouTube, where we should be uploading some shorts of the interviews that we do there as well.
The majority of interviews and videos and content that we're able to get outside of football games and everything else typically goes to YouTube. You know, so if you want to catch up on them, just follow us on YouTube. It don't cost you nothing. Turn your notifications on, and you're sure not to miss anything. Because right now we've got Caleb Downs from Ohio State University scheduled for an interview. We're working on some others, but if anybody has followed this page for more than a year, you know we hit the combine hard. You know we're not afraid to walk up to anybody and start talking.
Yep.
Doesn't matter who it is. And, you know, we've seen owners of other teams. Dan Marino, Brady Quinn, you name it. We've seen them out there.
Yep.
So, and if you get a chance, bring up the Visit Indy QR code, please, Sammy. If you get a chance to come, hit that link. You'll find restaurants, hotels, travel plans, construction blockages. Visit Indy does one heck of a job if giving you all the information that you need if you're coming to the city. If you're just coming for the day, find us. Let's take some photos. Let's get them posted. Let's meet face to face. Let's say hi.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You better bring my little buddy.
That's also true.
You better bring my little buddy. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And not only that, but also make sure, once again, when we go to our for Z103.com and Mix 105, because like I said, they're both very good guys. They also make sure that they rebroadcast everything that we're doing. So make sure that you're listening to re-airs of this episode or of all our podcast episodes on Wednesdays. So you'll be able to hear the replay of this one next Wednesday when we should already be working the combine. So make sure that you go and you are subscribed to Z103.com, or make sure you download the app. It's Z103.com is the name of the app. Make sure that you'll do there. And then also Mix 105 is going to be re-airing it as well. And VIP One Lounge Extra, that's going to be our UK affiliate. They have theirs at 5:00 p.m. UK Standard Time. And then, of course, Mix 105 and Z103.com. They also show theirs on, I believe it's 1:00 p.m. or is it 12:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central. So make sure you do that. Make sure we do Visit Indy. Also, Youth Football Camp. Youth Football Camp, we're back again. We went to Josh Downs' camp last year, and we also went to Kenny's camp. Both were great experiences. The players, I mean, they interact with the kids. The kids have fun while also learning, and honestly, that's the best experience you can have. The first camp date that they have up is going to be with both Josh Downs and Tyler Warren. So they'll have an opportunity to not just learn from them, but interact with them, because these players, they don't just show up, shake some hands and leave. They stay on the field the whole time, play with the kids. I mean, they go out there, they do drills with the kid. Kenny was doing a 5-on-5 game with Jalen Jones out there. I mean, honestly, it's just like it's opportunity after opportunity, and it's fantastic. Make sure you go to youthfootballcamp.com, and then it'll show you exactly what the camp dates are and where they are, because they have different teams that they work with. Make sure that you get them registered now, because once those tickets fill up, or whatever, once those spots fill up, then there's not going to be any more available. So make sure you get that done as soon as possible. That's going to be May 17th. They haven't locked down the actual location yet, so we're hoping it might be at the practice facility, could be at another location, but that's to come. And then yes, so that's all for me from Clyde's favorite drug, Cialis. So yeah. So other than that, anything else, Pat?
Yeah, Sammy, make sure you send Cialis a bill.
I mean, only for Clyde. Tell him that Clyde represents a lot. So yeah. But then, so with that being said, we are all set. Make sure that you are just going to the page, sharing, liking, commenting. Let us know exactly what we're looking for, what you're looking for. If there's any questions that you would like to ask any of the prospects, make sure that you leave that in the comments, even on the YouTube page after this, so that this way we know exactly what to ask. And then, like I said, we'll see if your question gets on there, because we're going to be posting all interview clips, and then we actually might go live. So other than that, you guys have a great night. Anybody in the Indy area, praying for you. Hopefully everything goes well. But other than that, have a great rest of your night. Sammy, take us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Anvil Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.